Thanks for having me. How's everybody doing? So today's about you guys, right? So why don't you guys start posting some tickers in there? I have some we can go over as well. I'm going to start off with the SPY real quick, and I think it's important when you're trading and looking at charts to understand what the market's doing. And right now, the market's kind of stuck. And if you really look what's going on in this market, we're developing a little of a wedge up here, right? You have this wedge pattern here that has developed, and it's getting fairly tight here right now. Right. So, something to keep your eye on. We're stuck in it. And when you're looking at this, the one thing that I notice here is you have a series of lower highs on the S&P 500 here, right? You have these three here coming down. We only have two so far to the of higher lows. So we're kind of waiting to see which way we want to break and which way we want to go here. But for me right now, it's trying to be very tactical. I'm still trading mostly to the long side, finding a little shorts here and there, depending upon the day. I've still been adding to some new positions. I still think the market's overall just fine, but there's a lot of uncertainty, and uncertainty is coming and volatility, and it's coming from the White House in what respects. It's coming from an earnings season that wasn't the best. As earnings continue to go forward, we got off to a great start with the banks. And then after that, earnings got really sideways. And specifically, when I look at earnings, I think that the semis overall have not been good. And the big tech in general has not been good. In fact, even I thought Netflix and Meta were not fabulous reports. They were good, but not absolutely fabulous. So just to give you a little thought on where we are overall in this market, we're holding in, not much going on. The VIX remains relatively dead, and that's a good sign. All right. The VIX is not doing, that's funny. The VIX is not doing much, didn't want to come up. And overall, bonds are trying to perk up a little bit. And that's important here. We need bonds to perk up and to rates to come down to really get this market going again. All right, so let's start off. You want to look at the US 30, the Dow? So I'm not a big fan of the Dow, Sandra. I prefer the S&P 500. It's a better barometer of the markets, 500 stocks versus 30. Overall here you have a cup and handle pattern that's formed, right? You have a little cup here. Right, and here's your cup, and now you have this handle pattern here that's kind of formed on it. So, roughly drawn. So if you're looking to trade it, you're looking for a breakout of this downtrend here, or off the 21 day if it continues to hold. The Dow 30 looks fine. Their earnings in general have been better than tech, right? And that's the banks have been good. IBM is in there. They were very good. You have other names like BP and Honeywell, and they've been good. But in general, the energy companies haven't been all that good. So I prefer to look at the S&P 500, but it looks, nice little cup and handle here. See if it wants to break out just off the all-time highs. SK, I wish I had a lot better things to say about AMD. I love the company. Love the stock. Been a big fan of Lisa, but they're missing out on the biggest data center bill we've ever seen. They're not getting their fair share, their fair share, their piece of it. They're really just not. And for me, when I look at this chart, I see problems. The first problem I see is here is we're trading right down here, just off the 52-week highs. We're having a nice little bounce today. And by the way, I own AMD. We're failing here at the 8-day again today. So this little gold line is hard to see. Keep failing at that. It's a problem. The 21-day. And we're generally stuck in a downward trend with the high of the last year coming in all the way back now in last March. And, when you look at their guidance, it's just not there. I love Lisa. She keeps talking about they're going to make billions, tens of billions off of AI, but it's not showing up. And everybody else is starting to make their money and they're not getting it yet. So for me, something needs to change here. First of all, it needs to get above the 21-day and close above it and hold above it, and the 50-day and reclaim all these moving averages. It might take the earnings to do that. The other thing, when we look at it, we look at a weekly chart real quick. Let's do it this way, make it easier so we can go back and forth. It's lost the 200-day here on the weekly chart as well. And when you look at it here, it really feels like 100 is a big psychological level, but I think that 95 area is going to be better support if it keeps coming down. Make sense? Hope that helps you. So we'll keep an eye on it and see how that goes from there. As long as we're on the semis, let's touch on Nvidia here, and then we'll come back to some of the other ones. Nvidia here is trying to strengthen up today. It was again pushing. It's got to clear the 50-day, this purple line. Purple line of resistance, 135 area, hit it yesterday, came back up in there today. If it can get through that, and earnings are not till the 28th, I believe, it has the rest of this deep seek gap to fill. And, so that's a name I would definitely want to keep my eyes on here and see what it wants to do. But, if it wants to come up above there, I think it's fine. They haven't reported yet. Their last report was good. The only thing I would say that wasn't great about their last report was their guidance, while great, was much less of an increase than we've seen the last year, right? So the pace of growth is slowing down, which you would expect after the huge move it's had and everything that had there. To the downside, that 200-day area needs to hold, and you see it doesn't really respect it. And that's what you have to look at. Every name is different. Some names respect these things, some don't. In this case, it likes to play around back and forth above it and go there. But nice move off the lows here. The next big easy move would be to fill this gap if it wants to get it before earnings. Luther helps if I could type. You know, um, it's not a bad looking name. The chart's a little bit on the messy side here. You have you kind of have a head and shoulders top ish here. And I'm going to say ish because it's not very well put out there, but I would use the break of the lows here as a neckline on that one, Mark. Here's your, if you're looking at it from this perspective, here's your head, here's your left shoulder, here's your right shoulder. And if you're looking to invalidate this, and again, I'm just drawing this quickly for you guys, you would probably want to see a move roughly take out that area there, that trend area there, and something like that. It's a little bit angled on this one. If you want, you can straighten it out, depending on how you feel. And then I would use, a move up above this area here and a break of the 200-day as my neckline there. It's just, I don't, not a company I trade. I don't know much about them. They don't do a lot of volume. It's more of an investment type name. So do your homework on it, understand where it's coming from. But the chart, not looking great. If we lose the 200-day, I would say a look down here towards that 315 level will be in play. And if it decides to push back up, it'll probably be fine. We're still waiting on earnings from them. I don't think they've reported yet. No volume type in the name. So, again, I would watch down towards this 315 level if we decide to break the 200-day. Wow, Powell's still going. OKLO. This is the new hotness here, guys. And, I don't think I'd be initiating a position up here on it. Honest answer. You know, it just, a little bit risky trying to start something up here. Now, I know everybody loves these type of names. These nuclear power plant ideas, these concepts, while they're fabulous, having to, how they're going to make this work and keep them secure is a whole nother argument out there of how that's going to take place. You had a new high put up here on Friday. It's pulling back. Watch the 8-day first. And if it cannot hold the 8-day, again, it's still very extended here off the 21-day down at 40.70. That would probably be your next spot. In general, whenever you get a move like this, all right, and there's again, nothing's changed. They're not making any additional money. They haven't actually, as far as I know, produced a nuclear plant yet that is viable. And there's a lot of talk out there that the costs are much higher than everybody's saying they are, and that everybody's been trying to do it. They've been struggling with it. A move down to the 21-day might be an interesting spot around that 40.72, and that's still moving up. But a lot of times these moves on hype get done and then they get undone, and then that's your chance to get back into it if you like it. I definitely wouldn't want to be chasing it up here. I think be careful if you really want to chase a name or go with one. I would recommend going with a company that's already doing it, and that's GEV. A little bit more of a stable name. This is GE Verona. They spun it off. And you could watch it for a move into that gap, but I think this is a safer name. But again, it also ran a ton up into these levels. So, watch it come down. I think it'd be a better buy here off the came down as a support around this 320 area. Honest answer on all these plays. I like them. I think they just run too much. They need to come in and to cool off here a little bit. NEM. People don't ask about that one very often. Uh, you know, um, it's a gold miner, right? Newmont, and gold hit an all-time high, and it's not following. Klaus, I never have a problem having some exposure to gold and miners, but they just haven't been the place to be. And you would think that this would it is gold mine, right? I do have it right. Make sure here. Sometimes I get confused. Yeah, oh, copper, silver, link, right. I thought they had mining company. With the tariffs, I don't know how that's going to play out here. I don't know if this is going to end up being good or bad for the industry in general. These are international, so they're probably a bigger problem for them that a lot of their mines are located internationally, which means that they're going to have to pay the tariffs to bring it back here into the United States. I don't personally, I don't have a strong feeling for these one way or the other. The chart's saying it's above the 200-day by a little bit, and if it can take out the recent highs, maybe it can come up and retest this 48, 49 area and then try to get going on it. But overall, I think there's better places to play unless this whole sector wakes up where you see a massive change in what's going on in policy, right? If these tariffs get undone or they don't get put in like we think they are, that would be an area to watch. All right. Palantir. This thing has been absolutely on fire. True story. In the pandemic, I sat in this thing red for a couple years before I got out whole, made a little bit of money. I think I was up around the 40 area. Boy, am I sorry I ever sold it. Um, this is uh, this is the perfect company when you look at for where AI is going in terms of who's going to be the next type of companies to make money off of it. The hardware companies are always going to be making money off of it. We're talking about the people that have your data who are integrating, creating your own AI systems for you. And that's what Palantir is doing. And that's what they're getting a lot of revenue coming in and they're really starting to grow that out. We'll talk about a couple others. IBM's another example, Snow, Salesforce. These are all in that same area. The problem with Palantir is they've really kind of outrun their revenue by a huge amount. I think their P&E is up over 600. Their forward P&E is up around 190, I think, at this point. And that makes it very, very tough to want to own it up here. And, again, I would watch it to see if it came down to the 100 area, maybe try it off of there. That held that gap, it would be strong. They're not selling it so far. It might take a market correction to bring this in. If definitely would love it if it came down and filled this gap to the 85 area, to be honest with you. Yes, we put a new all-time here and the all-time high in today. We're getting a reversal candle forming here. And then again, we had a reversal candle on Friday. And yesterday we went up, put a new all-time high and engulfed it. So a lot of back and forth here at this point. I'd be careful with this one just because of what's going on. I would take a hard look at Snow. Snow is returning to growth. Snow has if you look over here to the left, you have this big gap sitting up here that is yet to be filled and it's been kissing it. So you have this nice sizable gap there for it to go get as it works its way back higher. The data breach they had, people have forgotten about it, no longer care. And I think this is one of those names that if they can continue with their growth and they're starting to closer to turning a profit, this could be a nice win here in that sector. Again, very similar to Palantir in terms of what we're looking for. Um, while we're talking about that, I'm going to bring up Salesforce. This is another company that's quickly out there trying to integrate AI for companies with their data they have for them. Not exactly trading all that well here. We'll keep an eye off this 315 level, but these are some different names I would be looking at in that space. I think IBM is already doing it as well, but the problem with IBM here is they had this big run up here, and it's again all-time highs. It's hard to chase them. I mean, imagine that we're saying IBM all-time highs. This thing used to be forever having problems, but again, came down. went below the 8-day, reclaimed it, still looks great. These are the type of companies money's looking to transition to. They're looking to get into the next wave of AI money, and that's going to be in the integrators, the people doing that. Hopefully that helps you out there and makes some sense. Abgo. This is the other big winner in AI in the hardware space, Rolando. It's NVIDIA and Avgo, and those two are the ones that are running away with it. Um, you know, it was a great report. Their guidance was fabulous. They pushed into this gap a little bit. You can see that here. They also have some of the deep seek gap to fill here above the high of that candle, whatever that is. Let's see if I can get on it right here, roughly into this level. Again, I think if the market pushes and they like the semis, this one NVIDIA have go-to status for me. These two are the best in the AI field and are delivering on it at this point. Everything else to me right now is just kind of dead to me here at this point in the semi space until we see something. And I think that's the biggest problem we're facing when you look at what's going on out there. We have all these problems. So watch it above this 238 area. You see if it can push up, finish filling that gap to 245. The semis as well. If you guys like that, the SMH still sitting here, this big gap here above this 251 area to fill all the way up to 260, 261-ish, give or take. So, that's still there. The problem is when you look at the rest of the charts come on the semis, Micron, big gap, but look at this, not a pretty chart. Taiwan semi still holding very nicely. But again, they're off the highs. They make all the high end chips for everybody. And again, the reports have been great. Their guidance is always good. They kind of go through this. This one likes the 100-day. So if it dips back and holds or gets back above the 100-day, worth a try there. Qualcomm, it's a mess. This is sitting here. You look at the manufacturers, LRCX just can't get above the 200-day. AMET hasn't reported yet, under the 200-day. On reported on Monday. Ugly candle back down lower here. And I think that's the problem. The semis seem to be in this state of, just they're just in a tough spot. Nobody wants them. They're not in general, other than Nvidia and Avgo, doing very well right now. So again, I'd be more careful. LRCX, Lam Research, right? Yeah, we just looked at it briefly. Again, has to get above the 200-day, Marcia. Um, it just has to clear this. It's been under it now since all the way back in August. That's not a great sign, but if it can get back above here, it can try to run and push itself up. I'd watch it up into this 89 area and then see if it can try to come up and get to 90. You have a massive gap up here if it ever decides to go for it. But these are the type of moves that require earnings on a name like this, to get moving again. Because a name like Lam Research, you don't hear much out of them other than earnings. They're not one of those players. We don't hear much about them. Same thing with AMAP. Any other questions on any of the semis before we move to some other stuff? I think we've gone over quite a few of them. Mhm. So for me, just as an FYI, I'm long NVIDIA. I'm both in calls and stock on that. I'm long AMD. I will admit I'm underwater on that one. So I do still have some semi exposure out there. I do still like the semis. What about some other names, guys? We'll talk about it. Let's talk Tesla. Everybody always wants to talk Tesla. Tesla, Tesla is in a tough way here, guys. Honest answer. So right now, today, it is testing the 100-day moving average right here, right on it and just under it right now. One sec. Sorry, the puppy's wound up. Um, so this is a huge spot for Tesla. We've had the sell-off. When you ask what's going on here, to me, there's just some general fatigue around EVs. They're not selling well. Europe sales are way down. China is getting beaten up over there by BYD. Sales are off here in the United States. I think there's fatigue and a concern among investors that Musk is spending so much time with everything else and not spending any time on Tesla. And I've talked about this a little bit. I think Musk doesn't care about EVs anymore. And what I mean by that is he is now focused on AI. He's focused on the robo-taxi. He's focused on robotics. And he's focused on those things right now. and he doesn't, the EVs is just the money to bring those to life, and he's not his big consideration there. So that said, there's some things to careful help here as we watch this one moving forward here. Um, you have a big gap still sitting down here. Okay, and that starts around the 200 day. you know so watch that area. RSI is getting oversold here. We've had a big move down on the 100-day. I like it here. If not, watch that 320 level. That would be this little gap fill that's sitting in here. That's your next big level to watch that 320. And I would be looking to play a bounce off of that if it got down to there, and then see how long it's stuck. We're getting extended off the 8-day, so I wouldn't be chasing Tesla shorts here. I'd be starting to look for some type of reversal, but we're in a downtrend, and we've given back a lot of this big move, this parabolic move. This is normal. This tends to happen. SMCI, they report tonight. Um, so they have their report tonight. They had a nice little bounce yesterday. I guess there's a talk out that they're hiring somebody to oversee their involvement with the SEC, and this is considered to be a good thing, as that would mean they're not going to get delisted. So, uh, you know, SMCI is not well managed. I mean, and one of the problems you run into with this company is the husband and wife, even though the company's public, still run the company, and that probably needs to be broken up, but it's going to be difficult because they still have a control of it. And they got into they've had financial irregularities. They still haven't restated everything, and we're still waiting. They got a reprieve before getting delisted from the NASDAQ, and we're still waiting for them to clear that up. And they're working on it. The good news is people love their products. And what I mean by people, I mean companies. They love their products. They think their servers are great with the AI. So, they're holding, as long as they're holding their customers tonight, I think that's will be a good thing. If they tell me, if they're guiding up and they're not losing customers over this, I think they can pop back up. You need to get above 42.50, then 47.50, then the 54.25, and the 200-day would be your next level to test there. To the downside, if you can't hold, obviously watch this 25.70 area, and then the 52-week low down here around 17. So some levels there. Got about 8 minutes to go here. CTSH, Potash. Haven't looked at this one. Oh, it's no Cognizant. Sorry, haven't looked at this one in forever. Nice move there. Just off the 5-year high. That's a pretty chart. Integrator, another one that can take a lot of advantage of AI. I would try to get it into on a dip to the 8 or 21-day, and then see if it can take out the highs and go. It's a little extended here short term, so I would try to give it a minute to see what it can do there. But overall, nice looking chart. It looks good. Paul, I don't really know. I honestly don't not tell you what to do with the steel plays like Cliff or any of these names. Um, I really just don't know here. Gonna have to give this time to see how it plays out. Hang on a second. Dog's gonna have a long sitting down when we get done here. I hope you guys can't hear that too much. Cliff here, they stand to benefit a little bit from it, but I just don't know. Really, I just not my area. Lay down. And if it's gonna pop, watch the 13 area, then watch 1438 and the 50-day. But overall, these have been weak. And remember, what's been very weak, and part of the things that's hurting all, whether it's Cliff or Nucor or STLD. It's not just here in the United States, it's China. China is in the midst of a recession, and despite all the stimulus they've done, it hasn't really helped yet and not done anything. So I just, if you're buying from a long term, it's probably okay. But until we see the effects of this tariffs, I really just don't know. Costco, I'll come back to IONQ. I just saw that. Costco, it's at an all-time high. I mean, they're just one of those companies that just goes up, up, and up. They're just very well run, all-time high here. If you own it, just keep staying with it. Dips to the 21-day have been constantly bought, right? This black line. Not much else to say, Terry. I wouldn't be chasing it up here, but just a hell of a move. The last buy on this was when that's on the weekly. Sorry, I'm back to the daily, but still, you can see how powerful that is on there. Not working. Last stop buying opportunities on the 100-day on the daily. It likes to hold that. So if it ever gets back to the 100-day, great opportunity there. INOQ, another one, big run, chilling out now. I don't know when their earnings are. I assume they're coming up. You have a gap here above this 45-50 area to watch, and it's holding the 50-day. So if you got a clean break at the 50-day below it with a big down candle that held, I would be very concerned about it. And then I would otherwise I'd be watching for it to move back above this 45-50 area and see if we can go fill this gap and work its way back higher. Shop had earnings today. They were a mixed bag to say the least. Um, it came way off. It got all the way down into the 107 area pre-market. It came up and put a high in of 126.26, which is a 52-week high, and then it came back off of it here. I don't haven't had a chance yet to really go through the report, the earnings call specifically. It was seen when I heard it real time. What I did hear was a very mixed bag. Not a bad report, not a great report. And after this move up here, maybe just not enough. But that said, if it wants to wake back up, the fact that it's holding in today is a good sign. Uh, Back above this 125 area, maybe it goes up into test first area I'd watch is this 130. Then, watch this 135 and see if it can work itself back higher. Overall, not a real bad chart overall. CVS, I think any of these right now, thank you, 3 minutes. Any name right now associated with uh, pharmacy, biotech, healthcare with RFK's confirmation supposedly this week, I think I'd hold off. The market sounds like they're expecting him to be confirmed at this point, and then we'll see what he's actually going to do or not do. Uh, you want to be safe. I would watch for a break of this downtrend right in this area, right? So you have a downtrend here right now. Today comes in up around this 56 area. And if you're looking for a long, I would look for it to come above there. Otherwise, to me, that's just kind of dead money, and I don't have a feel for it until I know more about what's going on with RFK. QBTS, I don't know that name. Do I know that name? Is it a quantum name? No, yeah, it's quantum name. Uh, these quantum names, there's nothing there yet. It's all vapor. So you had this huge push, right? This came off of Google having a breakthrough, and then anybody that had anything associated with quantum got this big pop on it. But nobody else has had a breakthrough. Nobody else has. They don't have revenue coming off of it. They have nothing going on. Personally, I would not be looking to own these names. If you want, go speculative, small size. If you want to play quantum, I think Google's the leader on it right now. You do have a gap up here if we have another wake up on it, but I just there's nothing to these companies yet, right? They're all losing money. They're going to need a lot more funding. Quantum, even Google had a hard time with the quantum chips. I think it's premature and it's still in its infancy. Honest answer. Time for one more. Who's got one? Going once. APP, app loving. This is just a very good looking chart still. Here was your all-time high, your blow off. We came down, we held the 50-day, and we're back above the 8 and the 21-day. Its P&E is through the roof. It's hard to say I want to own this thing up here. But I would try to buy dips and not try anything to the upside on it here at this point. Just, too far to go. It's gone too far at this point, and we'll see where it goes from there. Guys, I want to thank everybody for having me on today. Enjoyed it. I do run a website and a trading room at smartoptiontrading.com. All right, you want to come over here, and I'm going to post a link in here for you guys. It's a special if you'd like to join me. And instead of $150 a month, this is $50 for the first month. You can cancel at any time, and then $150 a month thereafter. If you want to join us in our live trading room, we have I'm on Zoom all day long. We have a Discord room, and we post on private Twitter. We follow momentum every day, and you'll see how we do it using option flow. David, I want to thank you again for having me on, and everybody for joining me today, and catch you guys at the next one.